You know where I could begin, man. There's so many Floyd Mayweather stories that it's hard to even fathom like all the different stories and piece them all together. And, it's like, where do you want to begin and where do you want it to end? We go all the way back to the beginning. Like the first time I ever heard of Floyd Mayweather, first time I ever heard his name, my cousins live in Grand Rapids. I got cousins all over Michigan, Detroit, Saginaw mostly, and some moved from Saginaw to Grand Rapids. And Floyd stayed on Adams, and they stayed on Woodline over more east. So there's a mall out there by Ridgemore. What they call it, it's on Brenton, the Brenton Mall. So they out that way, and I'm in town. Like Angelique and all them, so I'm in town. And we at the mall, and we talking about, I don't know how it came around, something about boxing. Some fight was coming up. And I was talking with my cousin Dante, and I said, hey, yeah, this fight coming up, such and such, and blah, blah, blah. And my cousin Angelique, she like, we got the best boxer here in Grand Rapids. I'm like, Grand Rapids? Who? And she's like, Lil Floyd. I'm like, Lil Floyd? Like, never heard of no fighter named Lil Floyd? He was like, yeah, his daddy used to fight, but Lil Floyd better than him. He beat everybody. I'm like, Lil Floyd? And sure enough, we see him in a car outside. We pulling up. He's got a Michigan Wolverines hat on. And he laid in the passenger seat. He just got the seat all the way reared back. And I guess one of his cousins, he's like, that's Lil Floyd right there. That's Lil Floyd. And he was so popular, even at that time in Grand Rapids, where the people knew him. Like, oh yeah, that's Lil Floyd. Like, he gonna be the best. Like, he the best fighter in the world. Like, it was crazy. And this kid was like 15, 16 years old. And I'm like, you serious? And I had we left and everything, didn't totally think about none of that. Then at the Michigan tournament, he was, I think he was 17 then. He was in the tournament, and that's the first time I like laid eyes on him. And it was like, oh yeah, he's ranked #1, and just to see him go to the Olympics. And Nate Jones was up there, and I saw Nate, and I saw Floyd. Yeah, and I already knew Nate just from the neighborhood and him boxing and everything in Chicago. He was the biggest thing to stand out for the amateurs. But Floyd, like, my God, he went in that tournament in Wisconsin, and everybody knew he was the favorite. They was like, oh, he finna walk away with this. Nobody gonna beat this kid. He fighting all these open matches, and he's whooping them easy. It was easy for him to do what he did. So after that, there was a couple of more times I met him. Like, but this was like after he went pro. When he moved to Vegas, and I went to a couple of fights and he was at. And it was always something real quick, like a high and by. But everybody got stories. I'm surrounded by people that knew him and hung out with him, and it was just a roller coaster ride of fun and hanging out, and it's like 100 miles an hour when he was hanging with Mayweather. Because it's funny, because it's like that now. It's like it never really slowed down. And I find that very funny, because here's one story my cousin had, because he hung out with him and was like, man, we was with Floyd, right? And he wanted to shoot dice. He wanted this jacket my cousin had. And he was like, man, let me get that, let me sport that for the night, let me sport it for the night. And he was like, nah, man, it's mine, you can't get it, I'm wearing it tonight. He was like, man, look, let's shoot dice, man, I'll shoot dice with you for it, let's shoot dice for it. Let me shoot dice for it, let me shoot dice for your jacket. And he was like, nah, man, I don't want to, nah, we ain't going that route. So, anyway, Floyd ended up taking dude's jacket and sporting it. He took it out. It was the funniest thing ever. He took Cuz jacket, sport just Cuz jacket out there, and left before him. Cuz was ticked. Cuz like, man, dude took my jacket and went there. He's like, man, that was Floyd Mayweather. He wore my jacket up there anyway. And he's like, man, then he didn't want. He wanted to shoot dice, man. He still wanted to shoot dice. He wanted to own my jacket. And I wish I could describe the jacket. I know exactly which jacket it was, because he wore it here to Chicago. I don't know if y'all remember the towel coats, those towel jackets. This is for all them old school guys. If you ain't in your 30s, you ain't gonna remember them towel coats that had like the Smurf and everybody else in there made with that towel material. Those coats. So, any old school dude who's 30 plus know about the towel coats. So anyway, Floyd sported his to the, I think they went out, but anyway they went. Man, he was so mad he caught up with him and Floyd gave it to him, man. He was like, man, here, man, your jacket. I don't want it. I just wanted to sport it tonight. They can go my kicks. But they was tight since then, but Floyd looked out for him. Years later, you know, he's like, man, I'm going to win my match. Floyd was like 10-something or something. He was coming back. He had a fight back in Grand Rapids. And he ran into my cousin. And he said, man, you know what? I got you, Playboy. I got you, family. Took him to, man, they went to the mall. Floyd bought that boy like 2-3 pair of gym shoes. Anything he wanted. Air Jordan, whatever. He said, man, go and get it. Anything you want, man, grab a pair. He still remember my cousin and showed him love, man. That was something else. You know, and he came back to town out of his own pocket, not no charity foundation. He wasn't getting a tax write-off. He wasn't getting anything. He just went out, bought all kind of coats and scarves and hats, and just said, you know, let's just have a coat drive. You know, let's just give away, you know, all these coats and, you know, for the kids, this privilege and stuff. Christmas time he came back, he spent like, I want to say about at least 20-30 grand on just clothes. I mean, he had love in Grand Rapids because he always came back and gave back to Grand Rapids. He would throw parties in Grand Rapids when he came back and have everybody come out, you know, like a barbecue. You know, it was things he would always do to connect the people of Grand Rapids to him. You know, and that was wonderful. And my cousin was from Saginaw, would always come up to kick. So that was for him. Now, there's another story with Floyd, and this involved him boxing, and he was training. He had a fight coming up. He wakes up in the middle of the afternoon. He just wake up and he's crying. He wake up crying, but he's crying mad. He's frustrated, and the reason why he's frustrated is because he had a dream he lost. So he's like, man, I lost. I can't believe I lost. Man, he was freaking out. Now, in this dream, they telling him, you know, in the dream, he had a dream that he lost, but he woke up and they telling him, man, that's the fight ain't here yet. You ain't even had the fight yet. You ain't lost nothing. So they explained it to him over and over, man. He just got his running stuff, went out the house, boom, ran about 6 miles. Started working even more harder. Because he wanted to make sure he never had that feeling he had in that dream. Never wanted to have that feeling. So he wanted to make sure he did everything possible so that he wouldn't lose. So let me see what other stories I know that I can tell you. Man, yeah, like a recent story. Back in, I want to say 2010, like when we first started BoxingSocialist.com, and you know, we weren't met with a lot of acceptance in the boxing world because we thought that everybody was like friends or at least respected each other enough to work with each other. So it's not like that at all. They try to sabotage you as much as possible because if you're in their profession, they view you as a threat to them. And a lot of hate was coming on us for no reason. You know, and it was out of the blue. So I text Floyd. I'm like, man, I'm putting out all these articles, man, telling the truth about what's really going on, and people were spending money to sabotage everything I was doing, whether it was YouTube, whether it was the website. They want to sabotage and spend their money on their SEOs and whoever they social media guy was, to submerge all my stuff down to the bottom where no one can find it. And, you know, so I text Floyd and I told him like what was going on. So he texted me back and said, alright, man, I got you. And like 5 minutes later, Floyd calls me. He said, I said hello. He's like, hold on one minute. And he gave the phone to his social media team. And the rest was history. Next thing you know, you saw seeing all boxing socialists, Floyd Mayweather, retweeting all our stuff that we're putting out, telling the truth about what was going on. So he was spending money to support what we was putting out about him. And this enraged a lot of people that were associated with him, who felt like they were being betrayed or they did something wrong, even though they're missing the point that this wasn't about them. This is about what Floyd wanted to have out there. And we were the only ones really saying it. And they weren't. So they wanted that message out there. But he didn't have to do that. Then he gave us an exclusive interview behind it. And he didn't have to do that. You know, that just showed the nice and kindness of his heart and the type of person he is. He did it and took us to another level and helped put us on a plateau to where we were respected. Even though we had boxers on there, once you get Floyd Mayweather, it takes you to a whole nother level. And because of that respect, we will always have a mutual respect for him, even if they choose to do something else. I mean, there's plenty of Mayweather stories that's where he done helped out, paid for funerals consistently, that they don't even want you to know, they don't even want to talk about it. He's helped Diego Corrales' wife long after the death. He still supported her, like help her make income, to keep the children fed, you know, and still like keep in contact with them and help them as much as he could. You know, it's those type of things that go so unnoticed because nobody wants to talk about that. They don't consider that news. But for certain athletes, that would be news, but not for Floyd Mayweather. And let me see, that's about it. I mean, what else to know? For the Guerrero fight, how the training camp been going? Basically, it's been a training camp. it hasn't been going how everybody is being perceived on All Access. You know, it's a lot of things going on that just, you know, it's just boxing stuff, training stuff. But Floyd had a good week last week. You know, he hurt a fighter that he's sparring with. I ain't gonna put his name out there, but the kid was hurt really bad, and it's like it's the things that he was doing was finally clicking last week, better than all the other weeks. So Floyd's already in shape. This is just about technical things that they want to see done in the fight. Now, ultimately, when the fight starts, Floyd's going to want to do his own thing, and that's cool. But he's finally got it to where they was like, okay, this is what we wanted to see, and it's working. So now we'll see what happens this weekend, and I'm out.